Hello, this is Ali with the Perception Trainers, author of the Perception Diet, and I have crazy Thailand jungle hair today. So yeah, if you're wondering where my straight, lovely hair is, wasn't gonna happen here. Alright, so today I want to talk about something that is really near and dear to my heart, and something that I feel like I'm super surprised that I haven't talked about before. And that is that spirituality is not a personality trait. Okay? And I truly believe that as a society, we need to move away from this idea that spirituality or being a spiritual person or having spirituality in your life looks like this little box. And if I don't want to be that, that I'm not a spiritual person. Okay. So what am I talking about when I say spirituality is not a personality trait? Most people consider spirituality, right, and being a spiritual person right now in our kind of Western world with being a hippie, right, with being like a kind of like a crunchy granola, long wavy hair, loose flowy clothing, wearing mala beads, going to yoga, saying namaste and love and light, maybe like vegan or eating healthy food and just like returning to nature, all of this, right? And we can also think people kind of view spirituality maybe even as in a monastic kind of way, like being a renunciate, not having a lot of possessions, not striving for things. So maybe there's a view of spirituality as people who are not ambitious, and they don't necessarily want material things, and they don't want material success, and they don't want success in the material world. They're kind of more like like taking themselves out and separating themselves out and having this more alternative lifestyle. And this, in a way, I can understand how when we start to delve into spirituality, that we're going to start to realize things about the physical world that we believed to be true before spirituality are not necessarily the case, right? That maybe money isn't going to make you happy, or that material success isn't necessarily going to make you happy, or that your own happiness isn't the one thing that you came here to do. All of these kind of ideas. But at the end of the day, what really I think needs to happen in the spiritual community is that we need to understand that true spirituality, okay? And yes, I'm going to put this out there, and you're totally allowed to disagree with me if you want to, but I'm going to put this out there anyways, that true spirituality is not a religion, it's not a teaching, it's not anything we can put a brand on, it's not anything that is owned by anybody, it's not anything that is so easy to put our finger on, okay? True spirituality is awakening of your consciousness, right? So what awakening of your consciousness means is you are starting to wake up to the realities of the world. You start to wake up to the realities of yourself, and you start to integrate all of the fractured parts of yourself and all of the parts of reality that you are not seeing clearly, right? As you raise your consciousness, essentially what happens is you bring yourself closer and closer and closer to living in alignment. So living in a state where you and the truth are one. So what you say, what you think, what you feel, and what's genuinely true about you in yourself and in the external reality all line up together. Okay? And yes, truth exists. There is a truth. There is truth. Alright? And as we start to live in alignment with this truth, for instance, that you are a completely free and sovereign being that no one can or has the right to control, right? That's one of the spiritual truths that we need to understand. Or that you are not good or evil, that you are an individual that can make choices in your life and that essentially you can either operate from a place of love or you can operate from a place of fear, and that neither of these two things makes you good or bad. It's just you're going to get a certain result from living out of love and a different result from living out of fear. And so these are the truths that we start to discover. This is spirituality, right? And then another one of the laws that we discover as we start to awaken our consciousness is this idea that we are all connected, and that for every effect, or for every cause, there is an effect, right? Everything that you do causes an effect in the world, right? And so as you awaken your own consciousness, and as you set yourself free from the bondages of victim mentality, from the bondages of believing that you're not good enough, from the idea that you could be separated out from love, all of these things, this is what spirituality is. It's waking up to the reality of who you are and what truth is, okay? So if you have a problem with that, that's okay. Go and think about it. Go and ask yourself why it would bother you so much to think that this might be truth, that there may be an ultimate truth, and that spirituality is simply a waking up to reality, right? And that it's really nothing fancier than that. It's not like hippy dippy woo woo crazy Kundalini rising experiences necessarily, because those things can happen and those things might be a part of your journey, but they might not, right? It may not be anything like that. Your journey might be like a completely logical, almost like just progression of, oh, I'm just free, right? But awakening is returning to the idea that you are love, and that love is everything that has ever been, and that you are free, and now go live, right? And so if this is true spirituality, it has nothing to do with you wearing mala beads. It has nothing to do with you not wearing shoes. It has nothing to do with being a hippie. It has nothing to do with your job or your marital status or your tax bracket, okay? And this is the thing that I think is so important, is that, okay, so here's the other thing. Yeah, this is the main point. You are who you are for a reason. And for you to awaken spiritually, you're probably not going to become a radically different person than the person that you are right now. Okay? Some people do. Some people completely realize that like the whole personality structure they built for themselves was based on something that had nothing to do with who they were, and they come back into realizing who they really are. But again, if that's true for you, you already have a sense that you're living a life that has nothing to do with what you want and what you actually value, and that is going to come through in depression and anxiety and feeling completely unfulfilled in everything that you do. But what I'm saying is, as you awaken yourself, as you come closer and closer to the truth of who you are and the truth of the reality, right, which is going to be one and the same thing, you're going to realize that each individual here is who they're supposed to be for a reason, and that each individual plays a role that could lead to complete world peace, right? Or when we're denying ourselves and we're living in our shadow, it leads to complete chaos, right? But if you're super interested in business and in building strong companies and doing all this, you can definitely express that in a shadow way, right? You can express that in a very selfish, very cutthroat, very I'm going to take you down, I'm going to just, like, I'm out for myself kind of way. You can also be a conscious entrepreneur, a conscious business owner who makes decisions for your company that prosper you, that prosper everyone you work for, and that make this world a better place, right? We need awakened CEOs, right? But we don't need those CEOs to turn into shoeless hippies, right? If you are this kind of person, you will continue to be this kind of person. And you don't have to shift your personality, and you don't have to shift your values, and you don't have to shift any of that, right? You will become the conscious entrepreneur who runs a Fortune 500 company in a conscious way, and you shift the planet when you do that, all right? If you're a performer, you will probably stay being a performer, right? Your art may just take on a deeper, more allegorical flair, right? If you are a mother and a wife, you're not going to renounce your children and renounce your family and shave your head and do all this as an awakened parent. Like, what could be more important than that? You being awake and aware and in love with yourself and in love with life, and raising a child like that, not forcing them to have to do the things that society says that they have to do to be a good person, but allowing them to be who they are, right? What could be more amazing than that? And so this is what I'm saying, that spirituality, seriously, we need to get rid of this idea that it is this type of person, okay? And what inspired this is actually a conversation I had with my sister. So my sister is an artist, and she is very different from me, and you've seen her in past videos. She's a little bit more dark. She's a little more thinks on that kind of side of things, and but the thing is that she's also super sensitive. She's really clairvoyant. She's prophetic. She's got all these spiritual giftings, right? That she wasn't gonna allow herself to tap into, because she's like, no, that's Allie's thing. I can't be that because that's what she is. And I had a conversation with her, and we were talking, well, she had this realization for herself, that that's not true, that it's not Allie's thing, that this is just a thing for people. And she's like, yeah, I realized that I can have my intuition, I can trust myself, I can be connected to my body, I can eat healthfully without having to be everything that you are, right? I don't have to make videos and become a complete raw foodist and practice yoga and do all these things like you do. I can still be an artist who lives my life how I do, but has these elements of myself activated at the same time. And I was like, yes, spirituality is not my thing. Spirituality is for everyone. So this is what I'm saying. If we look at spirituality as just the understanding of truth, so we understand oneness, we understand fully loving and accepting yourself, we understand that spirituality is essentially taking your power back, that you are capable of living in the light or living in the darkness, whatever you want to do, and that when you live in the light, as in you love yourself and you accept who you are, you live in accordance with the laws of reality, that you are free and that everyone else is free, and you start to create your reality from that point, right? This whole world is going to shift. That's what happens. But you're still going to be who you are. You're still going to be interested in what you're interested in. You might be in the fashion industry. You might be in the food industry. You might be, like I say, an entrepreneur. You might be totally interested in cars. You might make video games. You are still going to be allowed to be that person. Okay? It doesn't mean you have to adopt the whole persona. It doesn't mean you have to adopt the whole lifestyle. It doesn't mean that at all, because that might not be authentic and true for you. Okay? There are 7 billion different people on this planet, and that means there are 7 billion authentic expressions of true spirituality, right? It's not a caricature. It's not love and light and namaste all the time. There are some of us who, when we are acting in our true spirituality, we are loud, and we look at the things that we say are unjust and we point it out, and we are blunt and straightforward about it. And then there are other people who are more like the Mother Teresa types, who are just soft and nurturing and gentle. And the thing is, at the end of the day, we need everyone. There's no right way to be. There's no wrong way to be. There's no way of being spiritual. There's just you accepting who you are and then moving from that powerful place, right? You loving all of your shadow back into light. You understanding that there never has been and never will be anything wrong with you. You understanding that you are completely sovereign and that you have power in your life, and that it's all, that there are certain ways that the universe works, and if you work in accordance with that, life is easy and life is fun. You move from that place, okay? So, spirituality is not a personality trait. Spirituality is not a lifestyle choice. Spirituality is not for some and not for others. We need everybody to be awake. We need everybody in every sect of society to be awake, and then to allow themselves to be who they genuinely are. Okay? Because then at the end of the day, what's going to be like authentic for some people is going to be motherhood. What's going to be authentic for some people is going to be entrepreneurship. What's going to be authentic for other people is going to be, missionary work maybe, or like going and building houses and doing things in Africa. Other people are going to be school teachers. Everybody is going to fit their niche, and we need everybody. We need everybody in their uniqueness, because that's how this works. When we're all accepting who we are in our uniqueness, there will be peace. Right? When we are at war with ourselves, telling ourselves we need to be a different way, or looking in the world and saying that other people need to be a different way, there will never be peace. You see? Allow yourself to be who you are. Know that you're not going to lose yourself by accepting spirituality. And know that spirituality is not this big woo-woo off in the distance, what is this thing? It is simply awakening to the reality of who you are and the reality of life, to truth. That's all it is. It's allowing yourself to align with truth. It's allowing yourself to understand that truth exists, and that it is knowable, and that you can know it, and that you can live in alignment with it, because it's already happening. It is the way that it is. You are who you are. The world is the way that it is, right? Not to say that that means like, oh, the world is the way that it is, there's always going to be suffering, and we just let that happen. That's a choice, right? There is truth, and then there is free will that we have inside of it. But you need to go discover that for yourself, right? You go discover what the truth is, and then what your free will choices are, and you will see that there are things that are the way they are, and there are things that we can do something about. And that as an empowered spiritual person, you will know where your role is in making this world a better place. Because that's what it's going to be. When you are awake, it's not like, oh, I'm awake, good, done. Okay? It's going to be, I'm awake, and here's what I want to do. Here's how I want to contribute my legacy of love to this world, right? It's not a personality trait. It's an individual, what is your legacy of love? That is what true spirituality is. I know my power. I know my value. I know who I am. I know what the world is, and here's how I'm going to make it a better place. Here's how I'm going to leave a legacy of love. Okay? So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below. We need everyone to wake up, and you don't have to become a hippie. Okay? Don't become a hippie. If that's not true for you, if that doesn't feel good to you, then it's not your thing. But that doesn't mean you're not a spiritual person, because you are a spiritual person. Every person is a spiritual person, right? And if you want to be a hippie, friggin' go for it. Go, be a hippie, do it. We need you to do that, okay? So questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below. You know, all of that. Like, share, subscribe, do that. Find me on Facebook, Perceptive Trainers, Instagram, ally_Perceptive Trainers. Come join Patreon. We're just empowering each other. Everybody's unique. It's not a group of hippies. But there are hippies, so it's like, it's for everybody. It's for everybody, because spirituality is for everybody. We need everybody to wake up, all different types, everybody. Okay? I love you. I think you're amazing. You are a spiritual person. Now go be a spiritual person the way that you are. Right? We need you.